The conference room fell silent as the holographic image appeared above the table. Ambassador Do-hyun stood perfectly still, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the alien figure materialize before him. The creature was tall, nearly 8 feet, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. Its 4 eyes studied him with obvious contempt. "I am Vorath, Supreme Commander of the Valthari Empire," the alien said. Its voice came through the translator as cold and sharp. "We have claimed this sector of space. Your world, which you call Earth, now belongs to the Empire. You will surrender immediately." Do-hyun did not move. He had prepared for this moment for 20 years. Everyone on Earth had prepared for this moment. "We decline," he said simply. The alien's eyes narrowed. All 4 of them. "You decline? Do you understand what you face?" "We control 847 star systems. We have conquered species that had mastered space travel when your ancestors were still living in caves. We have weapons that can crack planets like eggs." "I understand," Do-hyun replied. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "We still decline." Vorath leaned forward in the hologram. "Then you are fools. We will give you 72 hours to reconsider. After that, we will take your world by force. This is not a negotiation. This is a courtesy we extend only once." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Then let me extend you a courtesy as well. A warning. Leave us alone. Please. Just turn your ships around and leave us in peace." The alien made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "You warn us? You, who have barely left your own solar system? You, who still fight wars among yourselves? You warn the Valthari Empire?" The hologram flickered with amusement. "We will see you in 3 days, human. Prepare to kneel." The image vanished. Do-hyun stood alone in the dark room for a moment, then touched his communication device. "It's done. They refused the warning. Activate Protocol Red." Across the solar system, lights began to turn on. Captain Yuna sat in the command chair of Sentinel-9, Earth's largest orbital defense station. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. They had drilled for this day 1,000 times. Now it was real. "Status report," she said. Lieutenant Kwan looked up from his console. "All defense platforms are online. The asteroid belt is ready. Lunar batteries are charged. Mars stations report green across the board." Yuna nodded. "And the fleet?" "Admiral Minho is moving into position now. All ships are armed and ready." She watched the main screen, where Earth hung like a blue marble against the black. Beautiful. Worth protecting. Worth dying for. But that would not be necessary. Not if their plan worked. "They think we're weak," she said softly. "Let them," replied Kwan. "We warned them." 72 hours passed. The Valthari kept their promise. 50 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive vessels, each one larger than any building humans had ever constructed. Their weapons could destroy cities with a single shot. Their shields could withstand nuclear explosions. Commander Torath led the fleet. He had conquered 14 worlds in his career. This would be 15. The briefing had been simple. The humans would either surrender immediately or be destroyed as an example. Either way, the battle would last less than an hour. "Scan the system," he ordered. "Locate their military assets." His tactical officer studied the readings. "Sir, we're detecting minimal activity. A few orbital stations, some communication satellites. No significant military presence." Torath felt satisfaction settle over him. They had surrendered already, most likely. It happened often. The Empire's reputation preceded it. "Open communications. Tell them to—" "Sir!" The tactical officer's voice rose in alarm. "New contacts, hundreds of them. They're coming from the asteroid belt." Torath spun to look at the display. What had appeared to be simple mining stations were lighting up like stars. Energy signatures bloomed across his screen. Weapon signatures, massive ones. "Evasive maneuvers!" he shouted. But it was too late. The first railgun rounds hit his lead ships at a significant fraction of light speed. They punched through shields like they were paper, tore through armor like cloth. 3 ships exploded in the first 5 seconds. "Return fire! All weapons!" But there was nothing to shoot at. The humans had hidden their weapons in the asteroids themselves. His ships were firing at rocks while invisible platforms tore them apart. Captain Yuna watched the battle from Sentinel-9. Her face showed no emotion as Valthari ships died on her screen. She had tried to warn them. They had not listened. "Second wave," she said quietly. "Launch fighters." From hidden bays on the moon, from Mars, from stations that looked like simple habitats, hundreds of small craft screamed into space. They moved in ways that should have killed their pilots. They pulled turns that exceeded what most species could survive. But humans were not most species. Humans had evolved on a high-gravity world. Their bodies were built for stress. Lieutenant Sang-woo led his squadron through the enemy formation. His fighter was small, fast, and deadly. The Valthari tried to track him, but their targeting systems could not keep up. He fired missiles, lasers, mass drivers. His ship danced between enemy vessels like a shark among whales. "This is too easy!" his wingman shouted over the radio. "They're not even trying!" "They're trying," Sang-woo replied, rolling his fighter to avoid a plasma blast. "They're just not used to prey that fights back." Admiral Minho watched from his flagship, the Indomitable. He was an old man, gray-haired and tired. He had hoped he would never see this day, but he had prepared for it anyway. All of them had. "Launch the boarding parties," he ordered. Assault ships rocketed toward the damaged Valthari vessels. Inside were Marines led by Major Jiwoo. She was young, strong, and angry. Angry that these aliens thought they could just take Earth. Angry that they had forced this fight. Her team cut through the hull of a Valthari cruiser. They moved through the corridors like shadows. The aliens inside were not soldiers. Not really. They were conquerors, used to fighting enemies who surrendered quickly. They had never faced humans before. Jiwoo's team took the ship in 12 minutes. Commander Torath could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet was dying. Of 50 ships, only 15 remained. The humans were everywhere. They fought like demons. They moved like ghosts. And their weapons should not exist. Technology like this should have taken centuries to develop. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "All ships retreat." His remaining vessels turned to run. The humans let them go, all except one. Torath's own ship shuddered as something locked onto it. Magnetic grapples. A human voice came over his communication system, speaking perfect Valthari. "This is Major Jiwoo of Earth Defense Forces. Your ship now belongs to us. Surrender and you will live. Resist and you will die. You have 10 seconds to decide." Torath looked around his bridge. His crew stared at him with fear in their eyes. They were warriors of the Empire. They did not surrender, but they did not want to die either. "We surrender," he said quietly. Captain Yuna stood in the command center of the captured Valthari ship. It was huge, intimidating, and now it was theirs. She looked at Commander Torath, who sat on the floor with his hands bound. "We warned you," she said. "We asked you to leave us alone." "You are primitives," Torath whispered. "How? How do you have such weapons?" Yuna smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We have had radio telescopes for over a century. We heard you out there, all of you, talking, broadcasting, confident that no one was listening. But we were listening, and we were learning, and we were preparing." She turned to the communication console. "Send a message to the Valthari Empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them to stay away from Earth. Tell them we warned them." The message went out across the galaxy. In the Imperial capital, Supreme Commander Vorath received the report. He read it 3 times, not believing. 50 ships, destroyed or captured by primitives. He stood and looked out at his empire. 847 star systems, 3,000 years of conquest, and now, for the first time, a defeat. He called his fleet commanders. "Assemble the armada, all of it! Every ship, every weapon! We will show these humans what the Empire truly is." But deep in his mind, a small voice whispered a question he did not want to answer. If this was them unprepared, what would they be like when they were truly ready for war? The war room in Geneva was filled with screens showing star maps, ship positions, and intelligence reports. Admiral Minho stood at the center, his uniform crisp despite the long hours. Around him sat the leaders of Earth's military forces, scientists, and politicians. They all knew what was coming. 3,000 ships, said General Kihoon, his voice flat. The largest fleet the Valthari have ever assembled. They're calling it the Armada of Eternal Victory. Confident name, muttered Dr. Hana from her seat. She was the head of Earth's Weapons Research Division. Her gray hair was tied back, and her eyes showed the tiredness of too many sleepless nights. How long until they arrive? 2 weeks, Minho replied. They're gathering ships from across their empire. This isn't a raid. This is total war. Ambassador Do-hyun leaned back in his chair. We gave them a chance. We warned them twice. They chose this. The question is, said General Kihoon, can we survive it? 50 ships was one thing. 3,000 is another matter entirely. Minho smiled. It was a sad smile. We've been preparing for this since we first detected alien signals in 2089. That's 73 years of preparation, 73 years of building, planning, and hiding our true strength. The question isn't whether we can survive. He looked around the room. The question is how much of our hand we want to show. Dr. Hana pulled up a holographic display. Project Reaper is ready. We have 600 FTL missiles in orbit. Each one can cross the galaxy in hours and strike with the force of a small nuclear weapon. We also have the quantum jammers ready. Engineer Minji finished the last one yesterday. The Ghost Battalion? Asked Minho. Colonel Hyunwoo stood. He was a tall man with scars on his face and hands. My teams are deployed across 40 systems. We've been living in Valthari territory for 3 years now. They don't even know we're there. Give the word, and we can strike their supply lines, their communication hubs, their command centers. Minho nodded. Dr. Yunji, your report on the Valthari technology? A young woman stood up, adjusting her glasses. We've studied the captured ships thoroughly. Their technology is impressive, but it has a critical weakness. Everything in their empire runs through quantum communication nodes. Destroy those nodes, and their ships can't coordinate. Their fleets become blind. How many nodes? 217 major ones. We've mapped them all. The room fell quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. Earth had the capability to blind the entire Valthari Empire in a single coordinated strike. There's one more thing, said Engineer Minji, standing up. She was younger than most in the room, barely 30, but her mind was brilliant. We've been working on something bigger, true faster-than-light travel. Not the slow FTL the Valthari use. Instant travel, anywhere in the galaxy. Minho's eyes widened. Does it work? Dr. Sora tested it yesterday. We jumped a probe from Earth to Alpha Centauri instant, 0 travel time. The implications hit everyone at once. If humans could travel instantly anywhere, then nowhere in the galaxy was safe from them. My God, whispered Do-hyun, we really could win this. We were always going to win, said Minho quietly. The question was always how many of us would die doing it. He looked at the star map. But now we might not lose anyone at all. What are your orders, Admiral? Asked General Kihoon. Minho thought for a long moment. Then he straightened. We show them mercy first. One last warning. If they ignore it, we hit them with everything. Colonel Hyunwoo, prepare your teams. Dr. Hana, arm the Reaper missiles. Engineer Minji, get that FTL system ready for our ships. We're going to end this war before it really begins. In orbit around the Valthari homeworld, Supreme Commander Vorath reviewed his fleet. 3,000 ships, the pride of the Empire. Weapons that had conquered countless worlds. This fleet had never been assembled all at once before. It did not need to be. Until now. The humans will see this and despair, said his second-in-command. They will beg for mercy. Vorath was not so certain. The report from Commander Torath haunted him. 50 ships lost. Humans with weapons that should not exist. Humans who fought like nothing he had ever seen. Send the fleet to Earth, he ordered. But proceed with caution. These humans, they are not what they seem. 2 weeks later, the Valthari Armada dropped out of FTL at the edge of Earth's solar system. 3,000 massive warships stretching across space like a metal ocean. Their weapons were charged. Their shields were up. They expected a hard fight. What they found was a single human ship waiting for them. Admiral Minho sat in the command chair of the Indomitable. His ship was alone, small compared to the massive fleet before him. But he was not afraid. "This is Admiral Minho of Earth Defense Forces," he said over the open channel. "You are here to conquer our world. We are here to give you one final chance. Turn around. Leave. Never come back. This is your last warning." The Valthari response came quickly. "This is Fleet Commander Zareth. You are outnumbered 3,000 to 1. Surrender now or be destroyed." Minho sighed. He had hoped they would listen. "Very well. You chose this. Remember that. You chose this." He touched a button on his console. "General Ki-hoon, execute Omega Protocol." Across the galaxy, in 217 different star systems, hidden teams of human soldiers activated their weapons. Colonel Hyunwoo watched from a rooftop on a Valthari colony world as the quantum communication node exploded. All around the galaxy, his teams did the same. In 3 seconds, the entire Valthari Empire went dark. On the bridge of his flagship, Fleet Commander Zareth watched in horror as his communications died. He could not talk to his other ships. He could not receive orders from high command. He could not coordinate his fleet. "What happened?" he shouted. "Unknown, sir. All quantum links are down. We're completely blind." Before he could respond, the asteroid belt came alive. Just like before. Hundreds of hidden weapons platforms. But this time, there were more. So many more. Captain Yuna coordinated the defense from Sentinel-9. "All platforms, fire at will. Show them what real war looks like." The space around Earth erupted in light and death. Railgun rounds tore through Valthari ships. Missiles found their targets with perfect accuracy. Laser batteries carved through armor like butter. And then the fighters launched, thousands of them. Lieutenant Sang-woo led his squadron into the heart of the enemy fleet. The Valthari tried to form defensive formations, but without communications, they could not coordinate. Their fleet became a mob, confused, panicked. Sang-woo's missiles streaked through space. Each one found a target. Each one killed. "This is for threatening our home," he shouted as another enemy ship exploded. But the real shock came when the human warships arrived. Not slowly, cruising in from distant positions. Instantly. One moment space was empty. The next moment, 200 human warships simply appeared, surrounding the Valthari fleet. Dr. Sora's FTL technology worked perfectly. Commander Isul stood on the bridge of the Retribution. "All ships, target their engines. We're taking them alive if possible. Kill them if necessary." The human fleet attacked from all sides at once. The Valthari fleet, already reeling from the loss of communications, could not respond. Ships died by the dozens. Some tried to run. The humans appeared in front of them, blocking their escape. In 30 minutes, half the Valthari armada was destroyed or disabled. Fleet Commander Zareth made the hardest decision of his life. All ships retreat! Scatter and run! The surviving Valthari ships turned and fled in all directions. The humans let them go. They had made their point. Admiral Minho surveyed the battlefield. Burning ships, debris, bodies floating in space. He felt no joy in this, only sadness that it had been necessary. Major Jiwoo's voice came over his communicator. Admiral, we've boarded and secured 47 enemy vessels, thousands of prisoners. Treat them well, Minho ordered. Give them medical care, feed them, show them that we are not monsters. Yes, sir. Minho opened a channel to the Valthari homeworld. This is Admiral Minho. Your armada is destroyed. Your empire is blind. We can strike anywhere we want, anytime we want. But we don't want to. We never wanted this war. Stand down, negotiate, or we will end you. On the Valthari homeworld, Supreme Commander Vorath watched the reports come in. 3,000 ships, the greatest fleet ever assembled, destroyed in less than an hour. By humans, by primitives who had barely left their own star system. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Valthari Empire knew fear. Supreme Commander Vorath stood in his throne room, staring at the holographic reports floating before him. Each one showed the same terrible truth. His empire was falling apart. Communication nodes destroyed across 200 star systems. His greatest fleet scattered and broken. Hundreds of worlds unable to contact each other or the capital, and the humans were everywhere. How? He whispered. How did we not see this? His advisor, an old Valthari named Koreth, stood beside him. They hid, Supreme Commander. For decades they hid their true strength. While we watched them through our telescopes, they watched us back. While we dismissed them as primitives, they studied us. They learned our language, our technology, our weaknesses. Vorath slammed his fist on the armrest of his throne. Primitives do not have faster-than-light travel. Primitives do not have weapons that can kill a battleship in one shot. Primitives do not plan for decades. Perhaps, said Koreth softly, they were never primitive at all. A message arrived. From Earth. Vorath almost did not want to open it, but he had to know. Admiral Minho's face appeared in the hologram. He looked tired but determined. Supreme Commander Vorath, we know you are considering your options. We know your War Council is debating whether to continue this fight. Let me save you some time. You cannot win. You have already lost. Vorath wanted to deny it, wanted to rage, but he stayed silent and listened. We have taken control of your communication network, Minho continued. We can restore it anytime we want, or we can keep it down forever. We have mapped every military installation in your empire, every shipyard, every weapons facility, every planet that produces food for your people. We can destroy them all in a single day. The hologram shifted to show star maps. Red dots appeared across the Valthari Empire. Thousands of them. Every single one was a target the humans had already identified. But we don't want to, said Minho. We never wanted any of this. We asked you to leave us alone. You refused. We warned you. You ignored us. Now you face the consequences. He leaned forward. Surrender. Unconditional surrender, or we will show you what humanity truly looks like when we stop holding back. The hologram ended. Vorath looked at Koreth. Is he bluffing? No, Supreme Commander, I do not think he is. In the war room on Earth, General Ki-hoon reviewed reports from Colonel Hyunwoo's teams. The Ghost Battalion had been busy. They had not just destroyed communication nodes. They had infiltrated dozens of military bases, stolen intelligence, and planted listening devices throughout the Valthari Empire. We know more about them than they know about themselves, Ki-hoon said with satisfaction. Dr. Yoonji entered the room carrying a data pad. General, we've finished analyzing the Valthari biology. I have good news and concerning news. Tell me. The good news is, they are not natural warriors. Their evolution did not require them to be aggressive. They became conquerors through technology, not instinct. Most of their soldiers are conscripts who don't really want to fight. And the concerning news? They're desperate. We've destroyed their ability to communicate. Some of their worlds are starting to panic. Food shipments aren't arriving. Medical supplies are stuck. If we're not careful, we could cause a humanitarian crisis across hundreds of planets. Ki-hoon nodded slowly. War always hurts the innocent most. Contact Admiral Minho. We need to allow some humanitarian supplies through. At the same time, Specialist Junho sat in a darkened room, his fingers flying across multiple keyboards. He was Earth's best cyber warfare expert. For the past week, he had been inside the Valthari computer networks, not just looking, changing things. "How's it going?" asked his supervisor. Junho smiled. "I've planted viruses in their military systems. When they try to rebuild their communication network, the viruses will activate. It will take them years to clean everything out, maybe decades." He pulled up another screen. "I've also been leaving messages in their entertainment networks." "Messages?" "Simple ones. We warned you. Leave Earth alone. Peace is an option. Just reminders that we're here, that we're watching, that we could strike at any moment but choose not to." Psychological warfare. The best kind. The kind that doesn't kill anyone but makes them think very carefully about their choices. On the Valthari homeworld, panic was spreading. The population had never known defeat before. They had lived for 3,000 years secure in the knowledge that their empire was invincible. Now that security was shattered, protests filled the streets. People demanded answers. They demanded protection. They demanded that the war end. Vorath watched from his palace and knew his time was running out. He called an emergency meeting of his war council. "We must negotiate," said one general. "We cannot win this war." "We cannot surrender," shouted another. "We are the Valthari Empire. We do not bow to anyone." "Then what do you suggest?" asked Vorath coldly. "That we keep fighting? They can destroy us anytime they want. They've proven that twice now." "We could use the planet killer," said the first general quietly. The room went silent. The planet killer was the Valthari's ultimate weapon, a device that could destroy an entire world from anywhere in the galaxy. It had never been used. Its existence was meant to be a deterrent, a threat to keep rebellious worlds in line. "You want to destroy Earth?" asked Vorath. "Show them that we have power too. Force them to negotiate from a position of mutual destruction." Vorath thought about it. Thought about the millions of humans who would die. Thought about the revenge that would surely follow. But he also thought about his empire. About 3,000 years of history. About the shame of surrendering to primitives. "Prepare the weapon," he finally said. "Target Earth. But do not fire without my direct order. We will use it as a negotiating tool." On Earth, Dr. Hana's warning systems detected the energy signature immediately. She ran to the command center, her heart pounding. "Admiral!" she shouted as she burst in. "The Valthari are charging a planet-killer weapon, targeting Earth!" Minho's face went pale. "How long until it fires?" "Could be hours, could be days. But once it fires, we have no defense. That weapon travels at light speed. We won't know it's coming until it hits." Minho made a decision instantly. "Get me the president, get me the Security Council, and get me Dr. Sora." 10 minutes later, they were all assembled via hologram. "They're going to try to destroy Earth," Minho said without preamble. "We need to respond, hard, now." The president of Earth, a woman named Bora, nodded. "What do you recommend?" "We take away their ability to use that weapon, permanently." "How?" Minho looked at Dr. Sora. "Can you jump a strike team directly onto the Valthari homeworld, into their palace?" Sora's eyes widened. You want to take the fight to them directly? Yes. We board their ships. We infiltrate their bases. We hide in their territory. It's time they understand what it feels like to have enemies everywhere. To never feel safe. To know that at any moment we could strike. Colonel Hyunwoo grinned. It was not a pleasant grin. My teams are ready. We've been waiting for this order. This is an act of war beyond anything we've done so far, warned Ambassador Do-Yun. Attacking their homeworld directly, their seat of government. There's no going back from this. They tried to kill our entire planet, Minho said flatly. They fired first. We warned them, multiple times. Now we finish this. President Bora was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Do it. End this war. But Colonel Hyunwoo, try to minimize civilian casualties. We're better than they are. We need to prove it. Understood, ma'am. That night, while the Valthari homeworld slept, 50 human soldiers appeared out of nowhere in the throne room of the Imperial Palace. Colonel Hyunwoo led them. They moved like ghosts, their weapons ready, their faces hard. They found Vorath in his private chambers, surrounded by guards. The guards never had a chance. The humans moved too fast, fought too well. In 90 seconds, every guard was unconscious or dead, and Hyunwoo held a gun to Vorath's head. Supreme Commander, Hyunwoo said softly, you tried to destroy our world. Bad choice. Vorath stared at the human in shock. How did you get here? We can go anywhere, anytime. You can't stop us. You can't defend against us. You can't hide from us. Hyunwoo pressed the gun harder against Vorath's skull. Now, you're going to order that planet killer stood down. Then you're going to surrender, unconditionally, or I'm going to paint these nice walls with your brain. Your choice. You have 5 seconds. Vorath had lived for 300 years. He had conquered 14 star systems personally. He had never known fear before. Now he knew nothing but fear. I surrender, he whispered. I surrender. The broadcast went out across the entire Valthari Empire. Supreme Commander Vorath sat in his throne room, but this time he was not alone. Colonel Hyunwoo stood behind him, a gun held casually but ready. Around the room, human soldiers stood guard. They had taken the Imperial Palace in less than 20 minutes. Vorath looked into the camera and spoke words he never thought he would say. People of the Valthari Empire, I am ordering an immediate ceasefire. All military operations against humanity are to stop at once. All ships are to stand down. We have lost this war. The reaction across the empire was immediate. Some cheered, grateful the killing would stop. Some wept at the shame. Some refused to believe it, but everyone obeyed. The alternative was worse. On Earth, Ambassador Do-Yun watched the broadcast with mixed feelings. They had won. Earth was safe. But the cost of that safety was visible in Vorath's eyes. The old commander looked broken. I almost feel sorry for him, Do-Yun said quietly. Admiral Minho stood beside him. Don't. He would have destroyed our world without a second thought. He tried. We stopped him. Now we make sure it never happens again. The negotiations began immediately. The Valthari sent their best diplomats. Earth sent Do-Hyun, Minho, and President Bora. They met on a neutral station halfway between Earth and the Valthari homeworld. The Valthari chief negotiator was named Seleth. She was old, even by their long-lived standards, and she had seen enough war to hate it. What are your terms? She asked Do-Hyun. He slid a data pad across the table. Read them. Seleth read in silence. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands trembled slightly. These terms are harsh. They are fair, Do-Hyun replied. You started a war. You lost. These are the consequences. You want us to release 300 subject worlds to independence. You want us to pay reparations. You want observers on our homeworld. You want to reduce our military to 1/10 its current size. Yes. This will destroy our empire. No, said President Bora, speaking for the first time. It will transform your empire into something better. Those 300 worlds you conquered, they don't want to be part of your empire. Let them go. The reparations, they're to rebuild what you destroyed. The observers, they're to make sure you don't start another war. And the military reduction? You don't need a big military if you're not trying to conquer people. Seleth was quiet for a long moment. And if we refuse? Minho leaned forward. Then we remove you from power, all of you. We install new leadership, leaders who will accept these terms, or... He paused. Or we do it the hard way. We occupy your worlds. We dismantle your government piece by piece. We make you an example to every other empire in the galaxy. You would not. We already have, said Minho quietly. We took your capital. We took your leader. We took control of your entire communication network. We did all of this in less than a month. Don't think we won't finish the job if you force us to. Seleth looked at the data pad again. Then she looked at her own advisors. They all nodded reluctantly. We accept. The Treaty of New Earth was signed 1 week later. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Hundreds of alien species watched as the mighty Valthari Empire bent the knee to humanity. It changed everything. Captain Yuna stood on the observation deck of Sentinel-9, looking down at Earth. She had been promoted. Now she was coordinator of Galactic Defense. It was a title that didn't exist a month ago. Now it was one of the most important positions in human government. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Quan, joined her. The first freed worlds are celebrating. They're calling us liberators. We're not liberators, Yuna said softly. We're just people who defended our home. The fact that it helped them is good, but it wasn't why we did it. Does the reason matter if the result is good? I don't know. Ask me in 10 years. Across the galaxy, the 300 freed worlds were adjusting to their new independence. Some celebrated, some struggled, some didn't know what to do without the Empire telling them what to do. Major Jiwoo had been assigned to help one of them. The world was called Karath. Its people were insect-like creatures who had been conquered 200 years ago. They had never known freedom. What do we do now? Asked their leader, a creature named Thex. Whatever you want, Jiwoo replied. Form your own government. Make your own laws. Trade with who you want. Fight if you must, or don't. It's your choice now. We don't know how to make choices, Thex said sadly. The Empire always decided for us. Jiwoo smiled. Then you'll learn. We'll help you. But the choices are yours. On the Valthari homeworld, life was changing. The military was being reduced. Shipyards were being converted to build transport ships instead of warships. Soldiers were being retrained for civilian life. Supreme Commander Vorath had been removed from power. He now lived in a small house under guard. He was not imprisoned, not executed, just retired. It was a mercy he had never shown to conquered enemies. The new leader of the Valthari was Koreth, the old advisor. He had argued against the war from the beginning. Now he had the terrible job of rebuilding what Vorath had broken. He met with Ambassador Do-hyun once a month. They discussed progress, problems, and the future. My people are struggling, Koreth admitted. We defined ourselves by our empire, by our power. Now we have neither. We don't know who we are anymore. Then figure it out, Do-hyun said. Who are the Valthari without conquest? What do you value? What do you create? What do you love? Build your identity on that instead. It will take time. Everything worth doing takes time. Meanwhile, Dr. Hana and Engineer Minji were busy. They had a new project. Now that the war was over, they were sharing some of Earth's technology with other species. Not weapons, never weapons, but medical technology, agricultural techniques, clean energy. We're helping them, Minji said as she reviewed the data. Really helping them. We are, agreed Dr. Hana. But we're also making sure they remember who helped them, making allies, building relationships, so that if another threat comes, we won't face it alone. That's very strategic. It's very human, Hana replied. We help people, but we also remember that trust must be earned, not given freely. Lieutenant Sang-woo had retired from combat flying. He now ran a training academy, teaching the next generation of pilots. Young people from Earth and from the freed worlds came to learn from him. Why do you fight? Asked one student, a young human woman named Nari. I don't anymore, Sang-woo replied. But when I did, it was to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. That's the only good reason to fight. Not for conquest, not for glory, for protection. What if we have to fight again? Then you'll be ready. But you'll also try everything else first. War should always be the last option. Always. In a classroom on Earth, historian Jinho taught students about the war. It had only been 6 months, but already it felt like ancient history. Why did the Valthari lose? He asked his class. Because we were stronger, said one student. No, said another, because we were smarter. Both wrong, said Jinho. They lost because they assumed. They assumed we were weak. They assumed we were primitive. They assumed we would surrender. Never assume. Always verify. That's the lesson. A student raised her hand. Professor, will there be another war? Jinho sighed. Probably. There are thousands of species in the galaxy, millions of worlds. Eventually, someone else will make the same mistake the Valthari did. They'll see us and think we're easy prey, and we'll have to show them they're wrong. Will we always win? I don't know, but we'll always fight, and we'll always try to warn them first. On a distant world called Kroth, the leaders of the Krothian dominance heard about the human victory. They studied the reports, they watched the battles, and they began to make plans. These humans are dangerous, said their war chief, a massive creature covered in scales. They are far away, said another, and busy with their new responsibilities. We could expand in a different direction, avoid them entirely. Or, said the war chief slowly, we could strike now, while they're distracted, while they're stretched thin managing the Valthari surrender. One quick war. Take their technology. End the threat before it grows. The room debated. Some argued for caution, some argued for aggression. In the end, they agreed to scout the human territories, to probe their defenses, to test their strength. It was a decision they would come to regret. But that was a war for the future. For now, humanity enjoyed its victory, not with parades or celebrations, but with quiet satisfaction. They had defended their home. They had freed the oppressed. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. And most importantly, they had warned their enemies first. That was the human way. 10 years had passed since the war ended. Earth had changed. The galaxy had changed. And everyone had learned a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. Ambassador Do-hyun was older now, his hair fully gray. He sat in his office overlooking Geneva, reading reports from across the galaxy. The freed worlds were thriving. Most of them, anyway. Some still struggled, but they were free to struggle. That was worth something. A message arrived. From the Krothian dominance. He opened it with a sigh. He knew what it would say. He had seen this pattern before. Ambassador Do-hyun, the message began. We are the Krothian dominance. We control 400 star systems. We are interested in discussing trade agreements with Earth. Please respond at your earliest convenience. Do-hyun smiled. 10 years ago, that message would have been a demand, not a request. The Crothians had learned to be polite. They had learned what happened to empires that were not polite. But he also knew the Crothians. They were ambitious, aggressive. Sooner or later, they would make a move. They always did. He sent a reply. "We are always open to discussion. However, I must be clear. Any attempt to expand into territories protected by Earth will be met with immediate response. We hope this won't be necessary. We would prefer to be friends. But we have been down this road before." It was a diplomatic way of saying the same thing humanity always said. "We warn you." Captain Yuna, now Admiral Yuna, stood in the command center of the new Galactic Defense Station. It was 10 times larger than Sentinel-9. It housed 5,000 personnel and had weapons systems that could defend half the solar system. But more importantly, it was a symbol, a reminder to anyone watching that Earth was ready, always ready. Her deputy, Commander Isul, brought her the latest intelligence reports. The Crothians are building up their fleet, 3 new shipyards, 200 new warships in the last year alone. Are they targeting us? Not yet. But they're expanding toward the Valthari border, testing to see if we'll respond. Yuna nodded. Send a message to their leadership. Remind them that we protect the freed worlds. If they attack any of them, they attack us. That's a strong commitment, Admiral. It's the right commitment. We freed those worlds. We owe them protection. Besides, Yuna smiled coldly, the Crothians need to understand the same lesson the Valthari learned. You don't poke sleeping wolves. On the Valthari homeworld, Koreth walked through the streets of the capital. The city had changed. Instead of monuments to conquest, there were now parks and schools. Instead of military parades, there were festivals and art shows. The Valthari were learning to be something other than conquerors. It was hard. Some of the older generation hated it. They missed the glory days. But the younger generation? They were growing up in a different world, a better world. Koreth met with a young Valthari named Esthin. She was a student, studying engineering at the new university. "What will you do when you graduate?" Koreth asked. "I want to build things," Esthin said enthusiastically. "Not weapons. Real things. Ships that explore, not conquer. Stations that house families, not soldiers. The humans showed us there's more to life than war. Do you resent them? For defeating us?" Esthin thought about it. "My grandfather does. He was a fleet commander. He lost everything when the Empire fell. But me? I was 10 when the war happened. I remember being scared. I remember the broadcasts about the Great Fleet. I remember when it came back broken." She looked at Koreth. "The humans could have destroyed us. They didn't. They gave us a chance to be better. I'm grateful for that." Koreth smiled. Perhaps there was hope after all. Colonel Hyunwoo, now General Hyunwoo, led the Ghost Battalion in a very different mission. They were no longer saboteurs. They were peacekeepers. When disputes arose between worlds, when conflicts threatened to turn violent, Earth sent the Ghost Battalion. They didn't fight. They mediated. They protected. They showed that strength could be used for peace, not just war. "It's strange," said one of his soldiers, a young man named Taeyang. "We trained to kill. Now we're training to save." "We always train to save," Hyunwoo replied. "That's what soldiers do. We protect. We defend. Killing is just one tool, not the only one, not even the best one." Dr. Hana had retired from weapons research. She now worked on medical technology. Her team had developed treatments for diseases that affected multiple alien species. Thousands of lives saved by technology that once would have destroyed them. "Do you miss it?" asked her assistant, a young woman named Ariam. "The weapons research?" "No," Hana said firmly. "I'm proud of what we built. It saved Earth. But I'm more proud of what we're building now. Weapons end lives. Medicine saves them. I prefer saving." Lieutenant Sangwoo's academy had graduated 500 pilots. Not just humans. Students from 20 different species came to learn from Earth's best. One day, a Valthari student approached him nervously. "Sir, my father fought against you in the war. He was killed in the battle at Jupiter." Sang Wu was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry for your loss. War is terrible. It takes people we love." "Do you hate the Valthari for starting the war?" "No, I hate war. I hate that it was necessary. But the Valthari people? No, you're not your government's mistakes. None of us are." The student blinked back tears. "Thank you, sir. I'll make him proud. I'll be a good pilot, the kind who protects people. That's all any of us can do." On Earth, historian Jinho published a book. It was called The Warning Wars. It documented everything that happened, every battle, every decision, every consequence. But most importantly, it documented the warnings. Every time humanity had tried to avoid the war, the book became required reading in schools across the galaxy, not just on Earth, on hundreds of worlds, because everyone needed to understand the lesson. Don't underestimate others. Don't assume weakness. And when someone warns you, listen. In a military academy on Kroth, the war chief's son read Jinho's book. He found himself troubled by what he learned. The humans had tried to avoid war, multiple times. They had warned the Valthari, given them chances. But the Valthari had been too proud to listen. He went to his father. "Father, I've been reading about the human war. I think we should be careful." "The humans are far away," the war chief said dismissively. "The humans can travel instantly anywhere in the galaxy. Distance means nothing to them." "We are stronger than the Valthari were." "The Valthari thought the same thing." The war chief paused. His son was young, but he was smart. "What do you suggest?" "I suggest we talk to them, trade with them, learn from them, anything except fight them." The war chief considered this. Then he made a decision that would save his people from a terrible mistake. "You're right. Prepare a diplomatic mission to Earth. We will talk." The son smiled. The warnings had been heard. Ambassador Do Yun received the Crothian delegation personally. They met in the same room where he had negotiated with the Valthari 10 years ago. The Crothian ambassador was young, the war chief's son. He looked nervous. "Thank you for seeing us," the young Crothian said. "We come in peace. We wish to establish friendly relations with Earth and all worlds under your protection." Do Yun smiled. "That's a wise decision. We welcome friends. We prefer friends." "But we want to be clear about our position." "Of course. Earth will defend itself. Earth will defend its allies. Earth will defend the innocent. If you can accept that, we will have no problems. But if you ever threaten us or those we protect," Do Hyun's smile faded. "We will warn you. Just once. And then we will show you what we showed the Valthari." The young Crothian nodded seriously. "I have read the histories. I understand. My people will not make the same mistake." "Then welcome," Do Hyun said, his smile returning. "Let's build something better together." That night, Do Hyun stood on his balcony looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Valthari were rebuilding. The freed worlds were thriving. The Crothians were choosing wisdom over war, but he knew it wouldn't last forever. Eventually, someone else would test humanity, someone who hadn't heard the stories, someone who thought they were different, special, strong enough to win, and humanity would warn them, just like they always did, because that was the human way. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, warn your enemies, protect your friends, and never ever stop being ready. Captain Yuna had said it best 10 years ago. 3 words that had become Earth's motto. 3 words now written in every language, displayed on every human ship, taught to every human child. 3 words that the galaxy had learned to fear and respect. We warned you, and they had. They always had. They always would.